Is it a good idea to buy an Intel ARC B580 graphics card to play the latest games on a 1080p monitor in the second half of 2025? Let's find out. To test this, I paired this graphics card with the Ryzen 5 7600X CPU and DDR5 6000 CL30 memory. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon and the links in the description below. Let's start with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. This game has been recently updated, and yeah, I'm happy to report that finally it has XeSS 2. That is Intel's anti-aliasing and resolution upscaling solution. We are at 1080p, ultra graphics quality preset, FOV is set to 100, and we'll start at native resolution, but we'll also take a look at resolution upscaling later on. No motion blur, no depth of field. The performance isn't too bad. Close to 60 FPS, but I know that will drop to around 50 in that other demanding area. And we have to talk about XeSS, okay? Because DLSS, FSR, XeSS, these are extremely important features in 2025, not only because of the resolution upscaling, but because of other features that are a part of that package, such as low latency mode, that's NVIDIA's Reflex, or anti-lag from AMD. Now Intel also has a competitor to that, as well as frame generation and ray reconstruction, all that good stuff. And as you can see, the FPS is dropping to around 44 in the most demanding scene right here. So it's not ideal, but not too bad considering that this is ultra preset native resolution. In terms of image quality and anti-aliasing, XeSS is much better than TAA or TSR solutions, but it's not on the same level as FSR 4 and DLSS 4. Intel still has to update their resolution upscaling and super sampling model. So unfortunately, the ARC B580 is behind in terms of image quality at the moment. Well, behind AMD's RX 9000 series and pretty much behind any RTX NVIDIA GPU, because all RTX GPUs support DLSS 4. XeSS adoption rate also plays a role. It is not as widely adopted as DLSS 4. But strangely enough, Intel's XeSS is available in way more games than FSR 4. Right, before we tweak the resolution upscaling, let's try to get a good experience by just lowering some graphics settings. Let's use the high graphics quality preset. This graphics quality looks quite nice, and it gives us a lot of FPS on top of what we had with the ultra setting. Yeah, this is good. Take a look at that. 90 plus over here, 80 plus, oh, 73 FPS. So basically this is a very consistent 60 plus FPS experience at native 1080p. This is already a good experience. And the image quality, it's pretty good. I mean, it's not fantastic, it's not as good as with FSR 4 or DLSS 4 that are available in this game, because this is a new game, 2025 release. But it's good enough. It's not a massive difference, especially at 1080p, because, I don't know, I haven't played 1080p on a 24-inch monitor for many years, so I can't speak for that experience, but I have played it on a 27-inch monitor, and it doesn't look good. I do not like 1080p resolution at all. I mean, if you can, just spend a little bit extra on that 1440p monitor. There are plenty of budget-friendly 1440p monitors nowadays available. Kuroi, KTC, they cost just a little bit more compared to 1080p monitors, and that jump in resolution is well worth it. And if you're worried about your GPU not being able to deliver a good experience at that resolution, then just check out my ARC B580 1440p resolution video, and you'll see that thanks to the resolution upscaling, you can have a very nice experience and still have high FPS. And it's gonna be much better than this 1080p experience, especially on a 27-inch monitor. Let's increase the graphics quality back to Ultra and tweak the resolution upscaling. Let's use the XeSS 2 quality mode. Yeah, I think I prefer native resolution with lower graphics settings because this is just too much. We see some instability in the image, there's sizzling on finer details such as horse's hair, for example, as well as on the edges of the characters. Yeah. The resolution upscaling simply doesn't have enough pixels to work with in this particular case. And we're getting worse performance, worse frame rate than we had with just native resolution, high graphics quality preset. Nah, this is not a good experience. And the FPS drops to around 60 plus. Still stays above 60, but damn, it's definitely not worth it. Sometimes it's just better to tweak the graphics settings instead of enabling resolution upscaling, at least on a 1080p monitor, because for higher resolutions, resolution upscaling really saves the day in most cases where you don't have that much GPU power. It saves the day quite often, because when you enable it, it offers pretty much the same image quality as native resolution, especially at 4K. You can go as low as something like DLSS for performance mode and still have a much better image quality than 1080p native. In my opinion, even the ultra performance DLSS 4 mode on a 4K monitor looks better than native 1080p. Next, let's take a look at the Assassin's Creed Shadows. This game is more GPU demanding than the previous one, and it has nice ray tracing effects, and we'll take a look at that, because why the heck not? The B580 supports ray tracing. Let's take a look at the settings. It's 1080p, no upscaling for now, but this game does support Intel's XeSS as well as Intel's frame generation, so that's nice to see. In terms of graphics settings, we'll turn on ray tracing everywhere, and let's be reasonable and use the high graphics quality preset, because I don't think we can achieve a nice experience on higher presets. Let's start with high and see how it goes. We can always increase the quality if the GPU allows it. Oh my, 30 FPS. That's what we're getting, a 30 FPS experience. That is with ray tracing enabled. I guess it's just not meant to be ray tracing in this game. This game is very GPU demanding. If you've been watching my channel for a while, recently I was testing the RTX 5090, and even that graphics card is having a difficult time achieving pleasant high refresh rates in this game. High frame rates is just not something that Assassin's Creed Shadows is known for. At least with just normal means, without frame generation, you're not gonna see 120 FPS, even on the most powerful graphics cards. Let's turn off ray tracing just to see what it's like without it. Is it gonna be a much better experience, higher FPS? Indeed, the FPS is higher, but it's still nowhere near 60 FPS. In this game, ray tracing is not consuming that much more resources. The game is just strange like that. It is very demanding. But at least now it is a more playable, more pleasant experience, not a console-like quality experience 30 FPS is playable, I guess, but we're on PC, right? So we should aim for a nice 60 plus FPS experience. Just a few observations regarding XeSS in this game. Yeah, there's a lot of small stuff flying around on the screen, like leaves and birds and whatnot. Unfortunately, XeSS exhibits ghosting. For example, a leaf flies by and there are trails behind it. In this particular game, it is a problem. Not every leaf, not in every scene, but some of them do present a very bad experience. So for example, right here, some leaves are just leaving trails behind them. Hold on, let me just show you real quick. I think I can show you that. Yes, you see, it is very visible and unpleasant. Horrible, horrible. Right. DLSS 4 as well as FSR 4 have no such issues. That's just something to keep in mind. I think using ray tracing in this game is off the table because it's just way too demanding, but we still need to achieve a nicer experience. So let's go for the medium graphics quality preset and see if that's going to be enough to achieve that 60 FPS. It's very close. In some scenes that are pretty demanding, we're still getting like 50 plus FPS, but in other scenes, it's nearly 60 FPS. Hold on a second, let's see if we can find a scene where it's gonna be 60 FPS. No, it's still 50 plus, high 50s. But this is a much more pleasant experience. With that kind of frame rate, we can already use frame generation to boost the image fluidity, so let's do that. This is Intel's own frame generation, not AMD's. And ignore the frame rate over here, look up there, okay? Because unfortunately frame generation is not displayed correctly in the CapFrameX that I'm using to display this overlay. That is more representative of what's actually going on with the frame rate, because it is smooth. It is smooth enough to actually enjoy the game. The controls responsiveness is absolutely fine. I pan the camera and it feels good. No issues there, because we already had a pretty high frame rate, something like 50 plus FPS to begin with. So once we start generating frames, it's not an issue. The latency is good enough. Let's take a look at the image quality. Yeah, it's okay. It's not fantastic, but what frame generation provides a fantastic experience? Currently, none. Every frame generation solution is okay, I guess, but it's not gonna give you that nice, crisp image all the time, especially when you pan the camera. It's gonna get blurry. Doesn't matter which frame gen you're using, NVIDIA's, AMD's, Intel's, they all have visual imperfections. And hopefully they'll address those in future updates with future versions of frame generation. But at the moment, if you like high image fidelity, that's not the way to go. Frame generation has to stay off if you are looking to maximize your visuals. But if you're in a pinch and you want to improve the image fluidity from 50 FPS to 100, then it's a good option to have. Right, I think we have achieved a decent experience in this game, but I still want to check out resolution upscaling, just in case if someone is interested in that. So let's turn off frame generation once more. Let's keep the graphics preset on, hold on, what was it? Medium, yes, medium, ray tracing disabled, and we'll turn on upscaling. Let's do the quality mode. By the way, in this game, we don't have access to Intel's ultra quality modes or ultra plus quality or whatever it's called. Intel is, yeah, they went totally overboard with their naming scheme for the upscaling. I guess some games are just cutting that crap out to streamline the experience for customers, because this menu right here is in line with what AMD and Nvidia have. 3 options: quality, balanced, performance, nice and simple, easy to understand. The FPS is higher, definitely, and now we are getting 60 plus FPS consistently on the medium graphics quality preset. But this is not a native resolution anymore, and the image looks pretty rank, if you ask me. It's just blurry, finer details are completely gone, and we have all sorts of visual issues, sizzling, not nice. Good image fluidity, but image quality is pretty bad. I don't like this experience. The ground is sizzling, the fences are sizzling, the foliage, everything is just moving where it's not supposed to. All of those textures are like alive now. Not in a nice way. Let's go ahead and turn this crap off and go back to native anti-aliasing. So this is native 1080p. And lastly, I think we should check out the low graphics quality preset. Okay, 60, oh no, 55 FPS. My god, even on the low graphics quality preset we cannot achieve a 60 plus FPS experience at native 1080p. The game doesn't look as nice now. Low settings, definitely not good in terms of visuals. Yeah, unfortunately, if you are planning on playing very GPU demanding games in 2025, the B580 is just not powerful enough. At least not if you want to get a good image quality, even at 1080p. At least not native. And upscaling on a 1080p monitor doesn't look good. And it looks even worse with Intel's XeSS upscaling. DLSS 4, I could see how that is helpful, even for 1080p. FSR 4, also fine, but XeSS, nah, it's not good. I'd definitely stick to playing at native resolution if I had to use a 1080p monitor paired with the B580, because upscaling just doesn't look good on this card. I mean, I wouldn't choose this card to play games at 1080p in the first place, actually, because even though Nvidia's and AMD's options have less VRAM, they still deliver a more pleasant experience, especially if you want to use upscaling. Next, let's take a look at an Unreal Engine 5 game. This is Clair Obscure Expedition 33. We are at 1080p native resolution using Intel's XeSS anti-aliasing and high graphics quality presets. I don't think it's wise to start at Epic, which is the absolute maximum. One level down is more realistic. Once again, we can always increase that if we need to, if the performance allows it, but I don't think it will, because if you know anything about Unreal Engine 5 games, they are very GPU demanding. What we can do is increase the texture quality back to Epic, because that does not cost anything for the GPU to run. We only need video memory for that, and we have plenty of that in there. 12 gigabytes is plenty. Also, post-process, let's set it to the absolute lowest, because it is responsible for motion blur and depth of field. Those are the two most annoying effects, so I don't want any of that. It makes the image blurry. This game doesn't have the best temporal stability, and yeah, we can see that in the image. It is just all sorts of messed up at 1080p. At higher resolutions, it's not such a big issue, but at lower resolutions, You definitely can see it. Issues around the characters, edges, and in the finer details. The game just doesn't look as nice, because I played this game on a 4K monitor, on an NVIDIA graphics card, with DLSS balanced, I think? Yes, it was definitely DLSS balanced on a 4K display. And it played quite well, but it had some visual issues as well. Not as many issues as with XeSS though, so keep that in mind. Once again, NVIDIA GPUs beat the experience in this game once again. They just provide a better image quality overall. But in terms of performance, this is okay, 50 plus, not fantastic, but not too bad either. We're dipping into 40s sometime, and obviously if we go into the world over here, let's see what happens then. Yeah, 40 plus FPS. This is more or less in line with what you'll see in more demanding scenes in the game, especially during combat. This is the kind of experience that you'll get, so it's not fantastic, but acceptable, I would say. It's definitely worth tweaking some settings. We have some extra upscaling settings in this game, Ultra Quality Plus. Ultra Quality, let's go for the Ultra Quality and see what happens. The image quality was already pretty dog shit, so making it a little bit more blurry is, I guess, not such a big deal, but yeah, it indeed looks even more blurry, as if someone smeared some petroleum jelly on the screen. Yeah, it's not good, it's not good. But it's not that much worse than native. Actually, it is. I spoke too soon. It is, because all of those issues, visual issues, all those visual instabilities, they got amplified. So there's a lot more sizzling happening everywhere. And if you're in an area where there's like a lot of grass, a lot of finer details, which is pretty much everywhere in this game, then it doesn't look nice. It looks distracting, not pleasant. This is a beautiful game with incredible masterpiece art just everywhere you look. So it deserves to be played at much higher image quality. In other areas in the game, we can get above 70 FPS, so that's nice. But I don't think this is worth it. Once again, the resolution upscaling at 1080p on an Intel graphics card, I don't think it's usable, because this is already a third game in a row where we are testing a resolution upscaling and it looks horrible. So let's turn it off, let's go back to native anti-aliasing, and we'll just lower the graphics settings. Let's see if medium will do it for us. Once again, we can just lower that post-process, because who wants that motion blur? Yuck. And we can increase the texture quality to epic, no issues. Indoors, we're getting 60 plus FPS, that's nice. Even reaching above 70 sometimes. And the image looks better than with upscaling, definitely. This is a more acceptable level of visuals that doesn't make me want to turn this game off. It's still not good compared to an NVIDIA experience, especially at higher resolutions. By the way, this game still doesn't have FSR. If you have an AMD graphics card, you're out of luck. Because this is XeSS, it has some issues. Let's see once more. Those things right there, the white ones, you see those trails? That's not supposed to happen. Those trails are introduced by XeSS. Even at native resolution, that's happening. For the sake of science, let's try the low graphics quality preset. We've tried medium, so let's go for low as well. Interesting. Even on low settings, we still can't achieve a consistent 60 plus FPS experience. there are still dips into 50s. Lastly, let's check if the B580 is any good at competitive games. This is Marvel Rivals. And let's take a look at the settings. Intel XeSS native 1080p resolution, so no upscaling. The graphics settings are set to the absolute lowest to maximize frame rate. Let's run the benchmark. The FPS is at above 100. I'm more interested in the stability of the frame rate. Will we see any large spikes? That's what I want to see. We're still at above 100. Oh, 85. 85 FPS just then. So it dropped below 100. And this isn't even the most demanding fight scene. Moving on to the segment B. Still above 100 for the most part. That's fine. No issues. And this is the segment C, which is usually the most GPU demanding. And yeah, we're still staying at 100 plus FPS. Pretty consistently. Okay. Not too bad, not too bad. And the test is now finishing up. Let's see if we are gonna get a nice extra smooth score or... Nah, it's not extremely smooth, it's not very smooth, it's just regular smooth. 138 FPS average, 93 FPS, 1% low. And let's take a look at the graph over here. The yellow line is our CPU. So the CPU can do a lot more frames. It can deliver more frames. But the GPU, which is purple, it cannot deliver. It is sitting right there at the bottom, where the average FPS is. It was quite a smooth experience. No issues in terms of frame pacing, at least not any huge issues that I can spot with the naked eye. And that just shows that this is an okay setup for competitive games. But if you're playing competitive games, then I don't know. Is it worth getting an Intel graphics card? I'm still not convinced, because for competitive games you can always get an NVIDIA or an AMD graphics card with 8 GB of memory, RTX 5060 or an RX 9060 XT 8 GB graphics card, and you'll have a much better performance, much better experience, smoother frame rates, and access to FSR 4 as well as DLSS 4. In conclusion, Intel ARC GPUs have come a really long way. They now provide a pretty pleasant experience, consistent. I haven't found any issues, so it is completely usable. But the fact that Intel's CSS is not on the same image quality as DLSS 4 by NVIDIA or FSR 4 by AMD, yeah, that makes me think twice about recommending this GPU. I don't think I can recommend it. Sorry guys, but it's just not worth it. I would pick one of the alternatives. I'd rather spend a little bit more money on a modern NVIDIA RTX 5060 or the 8 GB 9060 XT graphics card, and just deal with the 8 GB VRAM limitation. It's honestly not so bad these days. Most games have received patches, and the game developers basically accepted that 8 GB is still here, and they still have to cater to that audience. As a result, the 12 GB of memory that the B580 comes with is actually not a huge selling point anymore, because there are other matters at play here, such as upscaling, as well as anti-aliasing, frame generation, and array reconstruction, all that good stuff that comes with these graphics cards. But this one, it's behind. So Intel has to catch up. Once again, they are playing catch up, and that is why I cannot recommend them outright. It's not a bad experience, and if you're set on buying an Intel graphics card, then it's a decent choice, especially if you can find it for a low enough price to actually compel you to accept these limitations that this graphics card has compared to the NVIDIA and AMD options. Then yeah, go for it. But if you want a nice image quality, then the big green and red options are still the best ones on the market right now. If you're interested in any of the products featured in this video, you can find them on Amazon, and the link's in the description below. And let me know in the comments, what do you think about the B580? Would you choose it over the NVIDIA and AMD options? Let me know. I'm interested in hearing your opinion on the matter. Other than that, if you enjoyed this video, then don't forget to reward it with a like. It helps out a lot, and I really appreciate it. Subscribe for more videos like this if you haven't already. It was I, Vadim. Until next time.